Hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Now, if you are a student in 2026, or really anybody looking for a new device, you've probably considered a MacBook Air or this, the iPad Pro. Now, if you're looking for a computing device, why would you look at the iPad over the MacBook Air? Now, that's a question that a lot of people would have asked before iOS 26 was released. But now the iPad functions a lot more like a laptop than you would expect. And when you pair that with the Magic Keyboard, it really does make this an interesting conversation. Now, the obvious answer is if you're looking for a laptop, you should still buy the MacBook. It is trusted by so many people. It's super powerful, great battery life, and great screen. But the iPad just has an additional air of versatility to it, which means that if you don't want to use it in the Apple case, you can just pull it out and use it like a tablet. Or if you want to draw on the screen, you could use your Apple Pencil and use a screen protector that makes the screen feel like you're writing on paper. There really is lots of additional opportunities that can come from owning an iPad over a MacBook. And that's really what you have to consider is what is it you're looking for in a device? Now, for a lot of people, you'll end up doing a lot of typing and a lot of video consumption. And both of these products can do a fantastic job. Now, the iPad Air might be more comfortable to type on because of its larger size keyboard, but the iPad Pro is fantastic for just picking up and holding when you want to watch content. And the fact that you can unclip it from the keyboard case so easily does mean that it's more versatile for you to use on a sofa or even in bed if you wanted to watch content there. The MacBook Air will end up setting you back around £1,000, and the iPad Pro will end up setting you back the same. However, you will likely need to buy the additional Magic Keyboard case with the iPad Pro if you're someone who wants to do lots of typing, and that could set you back up to a further £300 unless you're lucky enough to get a good discount. Like I did on mine, I paid £120 for mine from Currys, which is a steal for this product. Like I said, considering it's around £300 from Apple itself. You then have the additional cost of the pencil and the screen protector, which can end up making the iPad more expensive than the MacBook, which is really, really interesting. A lot of people would think the iPad's cheaper than the MacBook. That's why people want to go for it. But if you're going for the Pro variation, one with an M chip in it, it is most likely going to run you up more than a MacBook Air. And the MacBook Airs are so readily available from lots of different places. You can pick them up on a contract with a mobile provider, or you can purchase them from Apple themselves or other online retailers. So there is so much versatility with these products. And depending on which way you want to go, you can't really go wrong. But I do think you do need to consider one thing. The iPad and iOS 26 is not fully quite ready to be used as a laptop just yet. It's made leaps and bounds in terms of making this thing feel more laptop-like, but there are still lots of constraints when you're trying to use this thing, especially if you're trying to use it for Teams calls or for other business purposes. Now, if you just want to sit on a Teams call, this thing works perfectly. And you can even now select the microphone that you want to use for your Teams call, which is something you weren't able to do in the past. But then if you want to write any additional notes, things in the background, it can be quite difficult, especially with the smaller screen size. And some people might opt for the 13-inch variation of the iPad. Personally, I think it's just a little bit too big and a little bit too expensive compared to the 11-inch version. But that does make it slightly tighter on screen size, especially if you are looking to multitask and have multiple apps open at once. Now, if you're someone who is really into your tech, there's a good likelihood that you own both of these devices, the iPad Pro and the MacBook Air. And for me personally, I feel like that is the best combination. I have the iPad Pro for video content consumption, and then I have my MacBook, which is a bit more like my workstation, which I'll generally turn to for doing larger tasks. But if you are trying to decide between one or the other, I definitely think you should consider what you want more from your device. As I mentioned before in this video, if you're looking for something that's mainly entertainment purposes, playing games and such, I'd probably opt for the iPad. However, if you're looking for a real workhorse, something that you can have long sessions on with comfortable typing, I probably would opt for the MacBook instead. This definitely feels like the better value for money option out of the two, especially considering that you're getting a full laptop and it's definitely going to run you up a lot less than the iPad Pro. Another thing to note is the weight. And the iPad is generally very light and portable, and so is the MacBook Air. But when you put the keyboard case in the iPad, it doubles the weight of the product, which can make it feel quite clunky when you are carrying it around. And especially if you're someone who likes to carry around both an iPad and a MacBook Air, I can tell you you're probably going to need a slightly larger backpack in order to carry the two of them around. When I have taken them on trains and places to London, I've noticed that my backpack is a lot heavier when I'm carrying them both around. So now I generally tend to opt for the iPad when I'm traveling because it's just lighter and easier to get out on the train. And then the MacBook I will generally use for if I'm going on a longer trip where I know I'm going to need to do a more intensive workload, or for around the house, and mostly at my desk setup where I use it to edit videos and do other work. Another thing you might want to consider when looking at these two devices is the screen, and whether you're someone who minds fingerprints, because the iPad screen, in the fact that it's a touch screen and your actual viewing screen, can get very, very fingerprinty. And if you're someone who that annoys or you don't enjoy that, you are really going to struggle with the iPad. Whereas the MacBook, you never have to worry about touching the screen, and so the screen stays relatively fingerprint free unless you're putting your hands all over it yourself, in which case it's your fault, not Apple's. So that is definitely one thing to consider when you're looking at these two devices. Not just the screen and in terms of its viability and it's being used as a touchscreen or not, but also the screen size. You've got a 13-inch and a 11-inch for the iPad Pro, and then you've got a 13-inch and a 15-inch for the MacBook Air. So you've got slightly bigger screen size option if you do go for the MacBook. Does reduce some of its portability, but you get that extra real estate, so it's something to consider. However, that will cost you extra, so just bear that in mind if you're looking to make your decision. There are bigger screen sizes available, but they do cost more money, and that's for both of these devices as well. One other thing to note is if you are somebody who likes using lots of external screens, the iPad Pro can only connect to one external screen, whereas the MacBook Air can connect to, I believe, up to 3 external screens, or 2 additional screens plus the screen that you've got on your laptop. So you can have 3 in total. So definitely, if you are someone who's looking for more productivity and a larger work area, I would definitely opt for the MacBook. But equally, you can add an external display to the iPad. So it does give you a bit more versatility, but generally I don't use mine plugged in too much, and I don't know too many people who are using the iPad with an external monitor at this point either, because it kind of gets rid of a little bit the portability purpose for it, and you have to dock it in order to make it really fully functional, or even carry around a portable monitor as well, which is something which you can do, especially considering how cheap and light they are. I did a review on the Arzopa 14-inch portable monitor, which does pair really well with this device. But again, I just feel like it takes away from some of the portability of having such a small, light device. In terms of sturdiness, I think they're both incredibly sturdy devices. If you're a student or if you're someone who's using it for work, you really probably wouldn't worry too much about chucking these in a backpack as long as you've got a sleeve or a case. Luckily for the iPad, the keyboard actually counts as a case and it does protect the device very well. With your MacBook, you'll have to opt for an additional sleeve, but there are tons of sleeve options out there. I know Moft do an incredible sort of origami style sleeve for the MacBook Air. There are tons of options out there which can increase your productivity because you can double them up as a stand and then could also carry some of your other bits with you as well if you're going out and about with your MacBook. The speakers on both of these products are absolutely fantastic. I've had no issues whatsoever with the MacBook Air speakers, and the iPad Pro speakers really do hold their own, considering there is 4 speakers on that device, so you get a real surround sound experience. I find myself using my AirPods Pro and AirPods Max a lot with these devices, but if you are someone who enjoys using the speakers that come on them, you're not going to be let down with either one of these devices. So if you are a student or anyone looking to upgrade your device, what one would you go for? Would you go for the light and portable, still ultra powerful iPad Pro, or the MacBook Air, which is probably the staple of computing performance in this day and age? Let me know down below in the comments. If you did enjoy this video, please do make sure to subscribe. And if you want to see more videos like this, hit the like button. Get down below in the comments and let me know your thoughts and feedback on the MacBook versus iPad debate. And I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out.